Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, October 21st, 2022. Friday, October 21st, 2022. Tucker. Tucker seems to have been, uh, the topic of conversation or in the scenes. He is really just headlighting, right? Nikki calls Tucker over to the ranch, and Tucker comes in and he immediately spews the charm. Well, it's not every day that I get to be in the presence of Grand Dame, Genoa City's Grand Dame. And Nikki's like, that belonged to Catherine, that title. No, but you're still the upper echelon and elite. And she's like, this isn't a social call, Tucker. So then she's pretending to, you know, anybody hurts my family, it's my business, and I need to know about Diane. And Tucker's like, well, I'm sorry, I really can't help you there. And she's just looking at him, and then she calls. Tanya's in the other room. So Tanya comes out, the reporter slash book writer, author, and she goes, Talia, meet Tucker McCall. Tucker McCall. He goes, Talia Morgan or Martin, whatever her last name is. Morgan, I think it is. Reporter, I know you. And so Talia's looking, yes, Mr. McCall. And so Nikki says, Talia has a few questions that she wants to ask you. You know, you could give her the answers. And Tucker's like, oh, really? Like, oh, no one got my permission to be interviewed by a reporter. No one asked my feelings on it, but okay. So he sits down, and Tucker was Tucker. He really did not answer any of her questions. He responded, but not answers to the questions. And then she would say, you haven't answered the question yet. Suppose not. At one point, Tucker saunters over to the bar, pours himself a drink from Victor's bar, and then he walks back over to the reporter and says, hey, would you like a drink? He offers her a drink. Would you like a drink? Right? And she's like, no, thank you. I do not want a drink. So she pretty much, because some of the answers, she goes, so you were spent some time in Los Angeles. What did you do while you were in LA? Oh, I went to the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He's naming these tourist attractions, and he intentionally named one that was been closed for 30 years. So Talia looks at him. She goes, that's been closed for 30 years. And he goes, man, so. And then she's like, you know what? You're not even taking this seriously. So she pretty much ends the interview. She goes ahead and she ends the interview with Tucker. And he could come on. He tells Nikki, you could come out now, Nikki. And he pretty much lets her know. I mean, bottom line, that was never going to work. You know, Nikki got nowhere from Tucker, just simple frustration because Tucker doesn't snap and jump to a Newman beat. He never has. Because look, if he's snapping and jumping, he's snapping and jumping away with your company. So Tucker isn't the new, even Victor knows Tucker is no one to be played with. And Nikki Newman is way out of her league with Tucker, way out of her league with Tucker. So we have Diane. Oh, she's crying. Jack, I gotta tell you, I gotta come clean. There's a reporter in town. I don't want you to hear this from anyone other than me because she's afraid Talia is going to dig this up. Diane tells this elaborate story about when she got to Los Angeles, how she bought her fake ID and her fake identity, really. Social security number, ID, everything. and to start her new life. And Jack is saying, look, if you got, come on, camera, focus. If you got a fake identity, he's saying that means the person had to have been dead. It's illegal. Well, she knew it was illegal, but she had to, get by. Everybody knew she was going by a fake name, Taylor, whatever it was. Okay. They knew, like Nikki said, she had to have been using a fake or stolen social security number. We need to dig that up. Nikki was saying that from day one, right? And so now she tells this elaborate story that she was courted by this rich, rich guy, suave and debonair, took her on all these trips, spent money, and oh, she fell for him hard because he was her type. Because I do have a type. Yeah, Jack Abbott, Victor Newman, Tucker McCall. And then he was making her smuggle in money. So she was a mule smuggling money internationally for him. And he would just say, take her on business trips, but they never flew together because he would say he wants to get most of the business out the way so he could spend time with her when they got, to the destination. Well, when they would get to the destination, he would get the money out of her suitcase, and deposit it in whatever local bank that they were in. And my whole thing is, so Diane, for this story to work, that means you never ever packed any of your own suitcases. Never. Okay. What's up with that? And the way she found out, according to her, was he was late picking her up, so she had to get to the hotel herself. And she started unpacking and she found the money. But she didn't let him know she found the money. She waited till they got back to LA and then told him. And he, let him know it was over because they were playing scenes in the past, right? And she told him it's over. And he goes, oh, no, this ain't over. Bottom line, you're going to do this as long as I want you to do this. And she goes, you have been having me do illegal activities, this, that, and the other. And he goes, let me tell you something. You know that person that you bought your fake identity from, which also is illegal, he works for me, Diane Jenkins. So he knew exactly who she was. And he goes, and you're going to do exactly what I say, or I'm just going to turn you in because I'm sure you're wanted for something. For you to be going to this links, you're running from something. So she goes, I was trapped. I had no choice, Jack. You have to believe me. And so the only way she got free was the feds were onto him. He got arrested. But she goes, he warned me that they were onto him and, that it was over because he could be arrested at any time. And of course, we hear the sirens coming right then. And he tells Diane, go, just go. That's a load of crap. For one thing, he would not have called Diane to meet him so he could tell her that bit of news at all. He would have figured out how to frame Diane, period. He went to jail, went to trial. He never said her a word. He never dimed on her. She would have been the first person he dimed on. He had no loyalties for her if her story were correct. And Jack is just looking at her, like I gave you time and time again to tell me the truth and you didn't. And yeah, whatever, Jack. He's just, how Jack gets, So she's like, but then this is where Tucker came in. Tucker knew my dealings with him, what I was involved with. And he was blackmailing me too. He had his own plans. And he goes, what could Tucker possibly? No, not blackmailing him. Tucker helped her. He's the one that she goes, he gave me the information on Chemo and Allie. Remember I said, how did she find out about Chemo and Allie? And she goes, Tucker's the one that gave her all that information, which was the end to you and Kyle. And she said, I sold all the very expensive gifts that the guy that got arrested gave her. And that's what she had enough money to buy Chemo's house, right? So Bottom line, Jack is just looking at her. She goes, Tucker, I had to do what he wanted, because then if I didn't want to do what he wanted, he was going to tell, what I had been involved with in LA, and I didn't want that to get out. Oh, goodness. But Jack, you have to believe me. You have to believe me. And the one thing Jack didn't say is, I could never believe a word that comes out of your mouth. I don't even know if I believe this outlandish story, because no more than 24 hours ago, you looked me right in my eyes, Diane, when I asked you, were you and Tucker together in LA? And you said no, you had not seen him since your death. So now you're saying, but I don't believe a word you say. So Phyllis is looking at them through the little blinds, right? Phyllis, before she got to Diane and Jack, she was actually having lunch, and I was really happy to see Lauren. I haven't seen Lauren in quite some time, so I was really happy to see Lauren. And, Lauren hates Diane, and she's like, she doesn't know why Michael has a soft spot for her. Phyllis, are you making any headway getting her out of town? And then Phyllis is saying, well, now that Summer and Kyle are on vacation, now is the perfect time. And Lauren is like, don't be so sure about that, because, bottom line, Kyle definitely is in love with having his mother in his life. So Phyllis is like, yeah, I got to tread lightly, right? But the plan is still moving. So then when Phyllis got back to the office, that's when she's seeing Diane with Jack through the glass. Jack, and Jack is just like, so she could tell Jack wasn't happy with Diane. So Phyllis decides she's just going to open the door. Oh, excuse me, Jack. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting something? She knew she was interrupting something. And Diane was just like, and so Jack's like, no, Phyllis, but what exactly is it you need at this very moment that you've come in here for? Oh, nothing important. I mean, it can wait. I'll just come back later. And then she looks at Diane. Diana, is everything okay with you? And Diana's like, just like Jack said, Phyllis, everything is fine. And Phyllis is like, ooh, oh, yikes. Okay, I was just being nice. So Jack says, look, I am late for a meeting. I have to go. And he looks at Diane as he's walking by. He goes, we will finish this conversation later. So Jack walks by Phyllis at the door, and Phyllis, there she is on top, just lean and got that leg out like, yeah, I got you. Yeah, good for you. And Diana, and so Phyllis is just reveling in it. So of course she has to not sneak up, but slink up behind Diane, said, ooh, things aren't going very, very well for you at all, are they? Oh, not at all, Diane. And Diane is just looking at her, and Phyllis is like, matter of time, matter of time. So it was, pretty interesting. It moved along, but Young and the Restless is Young and the Restless. But Jack better not buy that cockamamie story, because now, Diane, what's the next line? See, what's your next illegal activity that you're going to have to admit once you're cornered, once someone else comes into town that you were dealing with, that of course you were doing it against your will, Diane. But oh my goodness, it's just a hot mess. But she feels she's taking Tucker's leverage away from her. And she also feels that now Jack at least knows if Talia is going to find out and write an article, because she did say, yes, the Bentley was Tucker McCall's Bentley that she was riding around in. So she did go ahead and she admitted to that. And then we have Tucker talking to his daughter. I just say that. But the funny thing is, he admitted, he goes, no, his end game is taking Chancellor away from Jill. He wants to take Chancellor away from Jill which ultimately would be taking it away from Devon and Lily too. But he plans on sharing the company with his son. He goes, this company belongs to the chancellor, to me, to my family. Catherine was my mother, not Jill's. You know, Jill's not even related. And he says, it belongs to me and my son. And I'm going to restore it back to where it rightfully be. I'm going to share it with with my son. And I thought, I knew Tucker would never hurt Devon. And see, my whole thing's let come what may. Because Devon is still going to have his. And matter of fact, Tucker will end up giving him the whole thing and leaving town on his next whim. He never stays put in one place for too long. Now, the thing that will be up in the air is if he would let Lily be CEO. I doubt it. She doesn't have enough experience. She's proving she doesn't have. Yeah, she's good at what she's done, but she's not that good. Lily needs to learn a little too, and learn to have a little backbone. Okay. Tucker could probably offer her a position, COO. Maybe Lily doesn't have a COO now. So maybe she could be Tucker's COO. Okay, so we shall see how that happens. But I'm really hoping Devon takes his own company away and just separates it right on out, because bottom line, his lifelong dream was not to share a company with Tucker McCall. And Devon still honestly believes Tucker's behind this. Okay, so let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. Libby said, Diane's lost her dang mind. She's obsessed with Phyllis and can't hide it anymore. Said you slay me with impressions of her. The one question no one's asked is about the obvious crime Diane committed. Oh yeah, and getting the identity. Yeah, they do talk about that in today's episode. Her identity theft. She comes clean on that. And as for Jack and Allie, the way this show does their hiring decisions, I'm surprised Jack didn't offer her a CFO position. I know, Allie, just fresh out of college. Robin says Diane is telling Jack her secrets now that the reporter might write a story about Nikki, Phyllis, Ashley, and then turn the tables from Diana. Everybody's going to be in that book. It's going to be a tell all, right? Genoa City's finest or not. Tucker is charming. Nakisha says Neil was with Hillary, not Amanda. Yeah, I think I slipped and said Amanda. Neil was with Hillary. Hillary had a vendetta against Neil because of her adopted mother's death. Yeah, her mother drank herself to death, and Neil was drinking with her. And Neil left, thinking she was just sleeping it off drunk, and she died in her sleep, which was not Neil's fault. But anyway, she ended up falling for Neil. He loved her too, but Devon didn't like Hillary at first. No, she didn't. And because Hillary's real name is Anne. At first, but they fell in love. Neil went blind from a wiring shorting in a fuse box. I think that's right. He was messing with it. Was this in a home he bought for Hillary? I think it was a brand new home, right? Fuse box, and he went blind. Hillary and Devon tried to hide their affair from Neil, but Neil's sight returned, and he didn't let them know he could see again, and he caught them in the bed. I think he plotted revenge. He did plot revenge. I vaguely remember a plane crash in there somewhere. Well, what happened was he ended up lying, giving Devon, because part of it though, Hillary fell for Neil at first, but she fell in love with Devon. And then she married Neil out of obligation. And then what happened was Neil pretended to step aside, and he plotted. Devon and Hillary had gotten married, and they were on their honeymoon, and Neil followed her up on this cliff, and I don't know what Neil was going to do. I think he was going to push her off, right? But then he ended up somehow, she did fall, but he took her and he was keeping her in this abandoned boathouse back there in Genoa City. And Devon and all the police, they were searching for Hillary's body, searching for her. And at one point, you know, what do the police think? Husband and wife go on a honeymoon, and all of a sudden the wife comes up missing, never comes back from a hiking expedition. They always think it's the husband, right? Because a lot of the times it is true. But it took, oh, that whole story took months. As a matter of fact, Hillary had gotten very, very sick. And Neil finally had to bring some doctor in that ended up giving Hillary what she needed, the antibiotics and everything to get better. The doctor is the actor that played Ted Martin on All My Children, and he also is now playing Martin Gray on General Hospital. He was Hillary's doctor that brought her back, you know, with his healing, his medical cures. And then Libby says, wait a minute. No, I'm forgetting this. Here we go. I'm forgetting a comment from Ditos. Dito says, I may not like the character Tucker, but Trevor St. John has my attention. He steals the scenes, he really does, with his zen and his humor. He and Phyllis would be so hot together. I don't know that we could stand them if they were together, because Phyllis is funny to me. I mean, I like Phyllis. Her humor, Tucker's humor, I don't even see them remotely attracted to each other. The only thing he would really do is probably this. Oh, she's talking about, what do you mean? Talking about taking our grandson to the park and watch him play. Said the child just turned 1. What does a 1-year-old do at the park? You know, you put them in the little safety swing and you push them. That's about all you can do with a 1-year-old at the park. It's not that exciting, right? You're sitting on a blanket. If you like sitting on grass or on a blanket on grass, watching this 1-year-old. And then Libby says, you ever notice that when Tucker's around, they all talk with low, slow cadence, in a low, slow cadence. It's like the director saying, okay, now everybody put on your Tucker whisper. His voice and his energy does bring down everyone else's. He does kind of slow it down, doesn't he? That's cool. Let's see. I bounce between being amused by him, then bored, and sometimes I feel like I'm going to fall asleep in the middle. Oh, like he's going to fall asleep in the middle of his sentence. Dito says, he is so zen. I think that inspires them to talk in the relaxed and laid back. We talk like that. Let me see. What did she say? And then he cracks a joke. He's relaxed, laid back, and he cracks a joke. LOL. I think the whole relaxed, laid back thing is supposed to throw them off. Yep, it does sometimes. They do, because they wonder, where are you going with this, Tucker? It seems like it really pissed the reporter off. It really did. And Medora says, how can Tucker do that to Devon, especially because he gave Devon the record company? Well, Tucker said, look, I'm going to give Devon more. Devon already has half a Chancellor Winters. So really, there is nothing more Tucker could give Devon with that. But Tucker wants to run it with Devon. So that's exactly what Tucker's talking about. So that was it on The Young and the Restless. Thank you so much for the Hillary history lesson, a blast from the past, because that sure did bring up all of that. Thank you so much. Even on how Neil went blind. Thank you. That's what Comic Corner is all about. We get to remember some history, talk about history. People that didn't even know the history now know the history. So thank you so much for your comments. I will be back on Monday with the next daily recap on The Young and the Restless.